and rocking and rolling, heading north to Lake Superior. Got about a 2.5 hour drive. So there's definitely a scene here. It's really cool. I didn't personally come across the surf scene on Lake Superior or in the Great Lakes until I'd already learned how to surf and been traveling around the world. And I came back one summer and I'd already been surfing for a few years, and I think it was about 2009, 2010, somebody said, "Hey, I think they're surfing on Lake Superior." And I was like, "Really? No way." And so started looking at forecasts and trying to figure it out, and went up there on a whim with my father, and brought a paddleboard, I believe, for the first time, or a small surfboard, and a dry suit, because I didn't know about wetsuits for these kind of temperatures, and quickly found out that a wetsuit will not work. You slide right off the board. There's nothing to stick or hold you to the board. It's such a slick surface. So, but that was the first time I'd ever surfed on Lake Superior. It was right in downtown Duluth on a little wave right off the Canal Park bridge, and there was a little left that came in, and man, I caught a couple waves and I said, shit, there's some potential up here. This is kind of cool. And started slowly progressing and finding out, like learning about the weather patterns, and coming up here and realizing that Lake Superior in the Great Lakes in general, with the right conditions, can produce some of the best waves I've ever surfed. We've surfed barreling point breaks that run down where you're getting 200-300 yard rides. I think the longest ride I've ever had up on Lake Superior was probably one of the longer rides I've ever had anywhere. It was almost 1 minute long on a longboard on a wave up here, and it was about head high and just kept on going and going. It was so fun. So after traveling, at this point I had learned how to surf in Tasmania, and went to Indonesia and spent 3 months over in Indo and did a boat trip, and then I'd been to Fiji and Costa Rica and all these other places. And then I finally come back and find out there's waves in my backyard 2.5 hours from where I grew up, and in the middle of the country with no ocean, and I was just blown away. So I think the stoke level with surfing up here is as high or higher than almost any place I've ever surfed in the world, because you don't expect it. You're always surprised by the conditions, and the conditions are really, really rough, and can be daunting to a lot of people. Even some really accomplished surfers get their asses handed to them on Lake Superior because they've never experienced anything like it. So you're talking about freezing temperatures. The water rarely in the winter gets around 36 degrees, 38 degrees Fahrenheit max. Before, if it does freeze over, then it's done. It's frozen, so it's below 32 degrees. So you're surfing in very, very cold water. I guess the lake effect or the wind effect, that's where we're surfing. It's all wind swell. And so with certain winds, you'll get more of a refraction swell where you get these almost like a ground swell. It's a longer period swell. And when I say long period, I don't mean long period like the ocean, because long period in the ocean, when you get long period swell, you're expecting 16 to 18 to 20 to 22 second period, you know, from a storm that's hundreds of miles off the coast and throwing fetch and spinning and creating waves where you are. So I'm not talking that kind of long period. When I say long period, I'm talking 8 seconds, 7 seconds, 9 second period. So that means the waves are coming and breaking every 9 seconds. And so for somebody who lives in the ocean and comes here to surf freshwater, they're dealing with frigid temperatures, short period swell, so it's just wave after wave after wave. The water density is really heavy. Fell off a wave and you're getting tumbled and worked, you don't automatically get brought back up to the surface like you would in salt water. You actually stay suspended in almost like a neutral buoyancy, and it's kind of scary sometimes because all that cold water takes your breath away. The denseness and the lack of buoyancy from the lack of salt water keeps you down, and so it's an entirely different experience. And most people who've been in the ocean, it takes them a while to adjust to it. I think when I say that surfing on Lake Superior is as exhilarating and exciting, and the anticipation level is so high compared to so many other places that I've surfed, it is for all these reasons, because there's a lot of unknown. There's a really big challenge factor up here as far as finding waves, getting waves, scoring waves. The weather element all lends to this amazing experience. I mean, sometimes we're trudging through 2 feet of snow and crawling over like icy boulders, and it's snowing, you know, and it's a winter storm, and most people are huddled in their house with the heat on, and here we are all bundled up in these, you know, super thick wetsuits. I'm looking at the surf forecast or the marine nearshore forecast. That's kind of what I do to check things out. It's showers in the afternoon, waves 7 to 12 feet, occasionally to 16 feet. So that's substantial. That's a good system. She's rolling. There's some big sets rolling through. The lake's already going. All right. A buddy of mine's going out on his longboard. I'm gonna follow him out there. It looks like some good sets. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that looks good. All right. Lake Superior surfing. Not for the weak at heart. Well, Jake's out there. Looks like he just got a good ride. Missed it, but it's... Here comes the set. Oh, Jake. Get it, buddy. Look at that. Oh, it's on. Only guy in the water right now, just landlocked Jake. So, oh, here's the set. Here's a big set. Come on, Jake. Get it, brother. Get it. Get it. Oh. Oh, yeah. Oh, don't pro! Steep drop, he pearled. All right, I'm going out. I'm not gonna bring the camera, so I'll have to film somebody else. Found some waves tonight. End up surfing with a few buddies. Got a few good ones. Obviously didn't film it, but yeah, anyway. Got the old camp set up. Luxury accommodations. Having a pre-made salad for dinner. Able to try out my new board. That was super fun. Can't wait to get on it tomorrow in some real waves. Get the old camp stove all set up for morning. That way when I wake up, I don't have to do it. Make it a little easier on myself. Good morning. It is early. Daylight breaks at like 4:30 now. Wow. Get some coffee going and start the day. Good. Well, it is 5 in the morning, so figured I'm gonna stretch the legs, go take a look at the lake, see what's happening. I think the wind dropped off a little bit last night, but picked back up about 3 in the morning, so I'd imagine the swell's still pretty big and it's only gonna get bigger throughout the day. But beautiful morning. There's a grouse right here on the ground. Minnesota ruffed grouse. I think there were 2 of them because I saw something else scurry off on the left. Beautiful morning up here in Lake Superior. Wind is starting to crank again. Kind of tell that the swell went down overnight, so it kind of backed off. So I'm gonna roll up the shoreline and check it and see what it looks like and ease myself into the morning. There's no rush to get in the water first thing this morning because it's still gonna be blowing all day and get super intense by 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So the good stuff's yet to come. Look who shows up. The boys.
Oh! cat's dragged in, huh? You know, some of those hacks, right? Come on. We'll get lunch on the way home.
District special?
No.
Here it comes! That first one was better. Here it comes.